Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to share something a little different, something that's been on my mind for a while now. It took me 92 years to accumulate a house full of things, but it only took me one quiet Saturday afternoon to realize that almost none of it actually meant anything. My name is William. I am 92 years old, and as I prepare to leave my family home for the final time, I am staring at a single small cardboard box that contains the only possessions I truly care to take with me. It is a strange and humbling feeling to look at a lifetime of hard work, a lifetime of acquiring furniture and art and status symbols, and realize that when the end comes, your entire world shrinks down to the size of a shoebox. I want to talk to you about the museum of me that I spent decades curating. When I was in my 40s and 50s, I was possessed by the need to fill space. I bought a large colonial house because that is what successful men did, and then I spent the next 30 years worrying about the things inside of it. I needed the perfect dining room table that could seat 12 people, even though we rarely hosted dinner parties. I needed the leather armchair that looked distinguished in the study, even though it was too stiff to actually sit in comfortably. I collected first edition books that I never read and expensive tools that I never used, convinced that these objects were proof of my existence, proof that I was a man of substance and importance. For years, I believed that my legacy was physical. I thought that passing down the grandfather clock or the set of sterling silver flatware was a way of ensuring I would be remembered. I treated my home not as a machine for living, but as a storage facility for my ego. I remember yelling at my children for running in the hallway because they might knock over a vase, prioritizing a piece of painted clay over the joy of the people I loved. I was a custodian of my own life, dusting and polishing and ensuring, carrying the heavy weight of ownership like a badge of honor. But then, time did what time always does. It eroded the value of everything I thought was permanent. My wife, Martha, passed away 7 years ago, and suddenly the house felt less like a castle and more like a mausoleum. The dining room table sat gathering dust, a silent monument to dinners that were no longer happening. The leather chair in the study cracked and faded. And now, as my health declines and I move into a smaller assisted living facility, I have had to face the brutal task of dismantling this museum. The most painful part of this process was not saying goodbye to the objects, but realizing that nobody else wanted them. I offered the china to my daughter, and she gently told me she didn't have the space. I offered the grandfather clock to my grandson, and he said he uses his phone to tell time. It was a shock to realize that the treasures I had guarded so jealously were, to my family, just burdens. They were just heavy things that needed to be moved, dusted, and eventually disposed of. All that money, all that worry, all that stress over scratches and dents, it was all for nothing. The physical legacy I had tried to build was an illusion. So I started throwing things away. It began with hesitation, but soon it became a purge. I filled dumpsters with the debris of my success. And as the rooms emptied out, a strange thing happened. I didn't feel a sense of loss. I felt a sense of buoyancy. I felt lighter. The more I let go of, the more I could breathe. I realized that the things I owned had actually owned me. They had demanded my time, my money, and my attention, and they had given me very little in return. And that brings me to the box. When the house was finally empty, echoing with the silence of 92 years, I was left with this one small cardboard box. It sits on my lap now as I speak to you. It is not heavy. It does not contain gold or silver or deeds to property. It contains the only things that possess true gravity. Inside, there is a photograph of Martha from 1954, laughing with her head thrown back, her hair messy from the wind. It is blurry and imperfect, but it captures the exact feeling of falling in love with her. There is a small, smooth stone that my son gave me when he was 5 years old. He told me it was a magic rock that would keep the monsters away, and I have kept it in my pocket for 60 years. There is a letter from my father, written on the day I graduated college, telling me he was proud of me. 3 sentences that meant more to me than every paycheck I ever earned. There is a dog collar from a golden retriever named Buster, who died 40 years ago, but who I still miss every time I walk in the woods. These items have zero market value. You could not sell them at a yard sale for $1. But to me, they are priceless because they are not things. They are keys. Each one unlocks a specific, vibrant memory. When I touch that smooth stone, I am 30 years old again, crouching down to hug my son. When I look at that photo of Martha, I can smell her perfume and feel the warmth of the sun on that beach. These are the anchors of my life. Everything else, the cars, the house, the furniture, was just the stage set. These items are the story. I look at young people today, and I see them running the same race I ran. I see them buying bigger houses to store more stuff, renting storage units, drowning in debt to acquire things that will eventually end up in a landfill. And I want to tell them, stop. Stop trying to fill the hole in your heart with products. You cannot buy a feeling. You cannot purchase a legacy. The only thing you can truly possess is a moment, and the only place you can store it is in your heart. I am 92 years old. I am walking out of this door with nothing but a small box and the clothes on my back, and I have never felt richer. I know now that I am not the sum of my possessions. I am the sum of the love I gave, the love I received, and the memories I hold dear. If your house burned down tomorrow, what would you grab? What would be in your box? Whatever the answer is, that is your life. Everything else is just clutter. Focus on the box. Fill it with love. Fill it with experiences. Fill it with small, meaningless objects that mean the world to you. Because in the end, the box is the only thing you get to keep.